A woman I met at a party told me she wouldn't vote for John Edwards because he is a lawyer who makes his living by stealing from doctors. When she didn't back up her slanderous accusation, I walked away. If she had told me that some parts of the legal system need to be changed, we could have had an interesting conversation. Of course, some parts of the legal system should be changed. So should some parts of every other system. No system is perfect. Fortunately, the legal system has built-in mechanisms that allow it to change when needed. That's why the legal system we now have is very different from the legal system we had when Abraham Lincoln was a lawyer. Back then, the judges rode around their circuits on horseback, and you just had to wait for them to get into town if you had a problem you wanted the law to fix. In today's world of instant messaging and emails, that kind of system just wouldn't work. But the woman at the party wasn't content to talk about how the legal system needs to adapt. She wanted to call people names. Specifically, she wanted to call a Democratic presidential candidate names. She wanted to call him a thief. Not because she had any proof that he was actually a thief. She just wanted to be nasty. This woman wasn't the first person I have encountered who thought that name-calling was an acceptable substitute for rational debate. Ann Coulter is famous for it. Bill O'Reilly encourages it. Rush Limbaugh has grown rich on it. Karl Rove and Dick Cheney steer national policy with it. The right wing has turned name-calling into an art form, going back at least as far as Spiro Agnew and George Wallace. And they have developed the talk radio and pseudo-news TV formats where they can broadcast their name-calling to whomever will listen to it. As it turns out, not only do people listen to the name-calling, they imitate it. The woman at the party was almost certainly calling John Edwards a name because she had heard someone else call him that, probably on some right-wing talk radio show. Right-wingers have been calling lawyers thieves for some time now. Usually politicians like Edwards just ignore the right-wing nastiness, but the other day Edwards' wife objected to Ann Coulter's saying John had been stealing doctors' money. Mrs. Edwards told Coulter personally that she ought to clean up her rhetoric and stop simply calling people names. And the public responded with a refreshing yes. People are tired of the nastiness. They are tired of the name-calling, the personal attacks, and the unfounded smears and distortions that people like Coulter have been throwing at them. People were amused by the talk radio rantings for a while, but it hasn't proven to be very productive. It didn't lead us to victory in Iraq. It helped drag us into a quagmire. It didn't make our governmental leaders more responsive to the people. It helped them avoid answering people's questions. People are finally saying no to people like Coulter. It shouldn't be too long before radio stations start changing their formats and dropping the right-wing talk shows as their listeners start tuning out the bullies and the oafs. Just like the stations changed when people got tired of listening to disco music, they'll change when people stop listening to hate radio. Then all the out-of-work trash talkers will have plenty of time to tell each other their problems were caused by the liberals who control the media.